Welcome back to my channel, guys. It's a gloomy Sunday here today. At the time that I'm making this video, it's a gloomy Sunday here in Miami Beach. So if you hear the rain in the background, that's what that is. It's been raining non-stop, and it's supposed to rain non-stop for days. So it's totally that vibe of just wanting to stay home and be a homebody, watch Netflix. I want to do some creative stuff today, like I might paint. But otherwise, I don't know if you guys are like this, but on days where I'm stuck indoors and it's raining, I tend to ruminate a lot. So it seemed like a good time to make this video and tell you guys about this story. Some of you guys might remember, I went to Europe this past summer. I was gone for 5 to 6 weeks, and I made this video right at the end of that trip, right before leaving Europe, reflecting on my experience meeting European guys while in Europe, and how it was refreshing to meet guys who were more traditional, more courtship oriented, more romantic. And I basically in that video talked about how I feel like I miss out on that here in the States, particularly living in Miami. And I think that video performed so well, it really got traction and it hit 10,000 views in a matter of a few months. I think that theme of what I was discussing in the video must have been relatable to a lot of other people watching. So it's quite ironic because I came back to the States towards the end of summer, and within a week or two of coming back to Miami, this European guy, very Italian, very fresh off the boat Italian, like straight from Italy, he hit me up on an app and we started talking. And then soon after talking, we ended up meeting for a dinner date. And so literally a few weeks after making that video, reflecting on, oh, maybe I'm supposed to be with a European guy, and that's why I feel so disconnected and frustrated with dating in the States. Like, maybe this is what it's supposed to be like. What are the chances that after having that epiphany, this European guy falls on my lap and we started dating? He's handsome, he's kind, he is thoughtful. One of the first dates, I want to say like the third date, I think the third date, he cooked for me. He wanted to cook an Italian dinner for me. Like, to me, a man cooking for you is so much more, that's probably the sexiest date to me. I don't know about you guys, I don't know if you agree, but I'll take that any day over a dinner date out to a restaurant or like an activity date of going to, I don't know, mini golf or something, rock climbing, because there's something about cooking for someone that feels so nurturing, I guess. So early on, I was like, I like this guy, and this feels very serendipitous that here I am meeting a European guy, and we share a lot of similar values because of our upbringings. So that's also been really interesting to see that he has had a very hard time since he came to the States. And he told me many times, like, you're the first person I've met who I feel like I can actually connect with on a deeper level than just like a surface small talk level. But, here's the but, I would say by the 4th or 5th date, my interest changed, and I'm still sort of assessing and trying to analyze it, because it wasn't anything in particular that turned me off. It's just realizing, like, oh, I don't know if I want this. Like, I don't know if I want the level of commitment that this guy is probably seeking. For example, this guy is a very big texter. He texts a lot. I have grown so accustomed to my independence that I have weekends, even just weeknights, where I just want to disconnect. Like, I've been looking at a screen all day with work, right in front of a computer. I don't want to have a conversation over a text message. I don't want to have a conversation over the phone either, by the way. I just like want to be away from technology and just disconnect. And so there's been things like that with him where I realize he needs a lot of my energy. And I don't think it's unfair of him to be that way. I think in a partnership, you have to compromise and sacrifice and devote your time and your energy to somebody. But in getting to know him, I'm realizing, oh, do I really want that? Like in my mind, I've always thought I want commitment, I want a relationship, I want to be intimate with the same person and build that trust instead of being on an app like Grindr and, you know, having to sift through so much nonsense and guys who don't share any similar values, right? So it's been this tricky thing of, as a result, I have continued to date this guy, wanting to keep giving it another shot because I don't want to self-sabotage. However, that instinct keeps popping back up inside of me, telling me this isn't the right fit. And I feel like if it was the right fit, I would want to engage with him via text no matter what. I would want to see him no matter what. And so the last time I saw him, my first thought was, oh, I really just wanted to do my own thing this weekend. Like I don't want to go on a date. But I said yes anyway because I felt like that was the right thing to do when dating somebody. And after saying yes to hanging out, I instantly realized in that moment, don't force this. Like, you don't want this for whatever reason. Maybe you're not emotionally ready. Maybe it's you 100%. But either way, this isn't right. Like, don't force something. And it's also not fair to him to potentially make him think I want the exact same thing as him if clearly there's some resistance on my part for whatever reason. I do, of course, question, like, is this a result of having been single for so long, though, that the idea of compromising, the idea of sacrificing my freedom, I'm aware of that possibility, and that's why I've continued to meet with him. But with every encounter of spending time with him, I'm realizing more and more, I don't want this. I don't want this level of intensity, and I can't tell, again, if it's him, if it's just that he's not the right fit, and that when you know, you'll know, or if it's me, or if it's both. But either way now, today, this gloomy Sunday in Miami, I've just been thinking about this, realizing like, it doesn't matter what the reason is, it's not the right fit. I'm also giving the Clip Notes version here for the record. Like, there have been little, I don't want to say red flags. I actually have a friend who calls it pre-flags, when it's not a full-blown red flag, but it's a little signal of something that might lead to something bigger. So let's just say there's been a lot of pre-flags with this guy. Nothing major, nothing detrimental, but like, there's been a few things that just kind of, in my mind, I feel like the right partner for me would not embody these characteristics. So one of those things, for example, is that he says shut up a lot. Like, I'll say something silly and he'll be like, oh, shut up. I don't like that. I don't want to date somebody who speaks to me that way. And I've told him a few times, like, hey, please don't say that. I don't like that. I feel like that's dismissive or disrespectful. But he has continued to use that phrase. So again, that's one of those things where I'm like, it's not a huge deal. But I also believe this is one of those things where I'm kind of old school and traditional. I feel like you get respect by giving respect. And when it comes to dating, partnership, to me, there's a basic level of respect. There's a line that just can't be crossed, because once it's crossed, then that's when the disrespect on both ends begins. Another example that's similar to this shut up thing is the last time I saw him, the last time we went on a date, he was disappointed that I didn't come up to his place after, which was near where we had dinner. But his reaction was very sort of petty, like he was annoyed, so he kind of stormed off. And again, just like the shut up thing, to me that's very juvenile, like teenage dating energy. That's how it feels to me. I don't want to date somebody who's going to be annoyed that I don't want to go back to his place or that I don't feel like having sex that day. So I say all this to say, and I'm sure I'm gonna get it in the comments, because some of you are always like, you're always telling these stories, you must be the issue. And this experience is making me realize there must be a part of my dating woes now must be this resistance that I've built up because of disappointments, and also the result of having so much time to myself, so much freedom to do whatever I want, whenever I want. So I'm aware that I'm a part of the equation here. But my conclusion today is also that it doesn't really matter what the source is. If it doesn't feel right, I shouldn't force something. And in this particular case with this guy, I've given it, I mean, we've gone on probably like we've probably hung out like 7 times, 7-ish times. I am finally realizing though, maybe I don't want what I think I want. Like maybe in my mind, as I think many of us are like this, and I see this with a lot of women that I hang out with in Miami too, that they're always talking about, oh, I want a man, I want a relationship. But it's so clear to me from how obsessive they are about it that they don't really want a healthy, stable relationship with a guy. What they really want is male validation. But they don't really want the work of a relationship. So maybe it's the same with me. I'm realizing now, perhaps this is something I built up in my mind that I want. And now that I actually have the opportunity to meet somebody who's not a total fuckboy, like the other guys I meet in Miami, I'm realizing, oh, maybe this isn't what I want. Maybe I don't want to offer this level of commitment. And at the same time, I feel like for the right guy, whatever that means, right? For the right guy, I think I would potentially adjust, but maybe that's just a narrative I've created. But I do think it's interesting that, you know, the irony of all this, that I left Europe thinking, oh, maybe all I need is a European guy, and then a European guy falls on my lap, which never happens living in Miami, that I just happen to meet a guy literally in walking distance, but it feels like something is missing, or I should be feeling something that I'm not. And one of the biggest things I'm learning at this stage in life is the importance of trusting your instincts and not not rationalize something because you feel you're supposed to. That's where I am with this. Can any of you guys relate to this phenomenon? As always, curious for your thoughts. See you next time.